Hey guys, and welcome back to another energy update. And in today's video, we have a huge energy update as we have so much to talk about. The main thing we're going to talk about is this upcoming new moon. We are having a new moon in Sagittarius on December 12th. But we also have so much to talk about that's been going on with planets ending retrograde, planets starting retrograde, which ones are about to end this month and are ending around this time. So we've got a couple energy portals. We've got a couple that already happened this month and two more big ones on the horizon, a winter solstice, so much to talk about. So, and also make sure to stay tuned till the end because we will be doing a pick a card moon message as well. Okay, so let's jump in. First, I do want to highlight that Otherworldly Wednesdays, where we talk about all of the astrology, the moons, the eclipses, any ascension energies or portals, anything that's going on otherworldly has been on pause since what, like late October. I was dealing with a back injury, and then I moved across the country. As you guys can probably tell, I'm filming in a new location. So I just wanted to say thank you for your patience with the videos. I know that we missed a few. As we were ending eclipse season, we missed talking about some planets that already got out of retrograde, which we will highlight here in a moment. And a new moon and a full moon, we missed the whole month of November being one big portal of acceleration, of accelerated growth in the 11/11. There was so much stuff that happened. But again, everything happens in divine timing. It happened for a reason. So this might have led you to another astrologer or another YouTuber or figuring things out in yourself so you can activate that own innate wisdom and become your own internal guru. Because that's all it is. We watch these videos to kind of get tools to kind of learn, but the person who knows the best is you. You are the answers. You're made up of the whole universe. You don't need somebody to tell you this, that, and the other. We kind of use this stuff as tools to figure out it ourselves. But the more we can rely on our own intuition, the stronger we become in ourselves. So we start aligning more with the soul's essence. So we're going to jump in to the, actually, you know what? We're not doing 5 points. Normally I talk about 5 key things you need to know about during this moon cycle. There's so much going on that we actually have 7 things to talk about. So we have 7 key themes to talk about today before we get to the moon message. And I also want to highlight, if there is an echo, I do apologize. Like I just moved in, so I was supposed to have some furniture delivered yesterday, but it got delivered to my old address. So now I'm waiting a few more weeks. So, you know, empty space, it just brings that echo. So hopefully it's not too bad. I apologize if it does sound a little bit echoey in here. But with that being said, I think let's jump in. We're 3 minutes in. We haven't even got into what's going on. Okay, so we're in Sagittarius season. So the first key theme to talk about is that change is on the horizon. Sagittarius likes to travel, it likes to move, it likes to do things. And when I talk about travel, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get on a plane, a train, a bus. You can. I mean, holidays are literally around this time. It's very interesting, right? How Sagittarius aligns up with the holidays. So on Christmas, we go back to see our family, our parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, stuff like that. So for some people, that actually involves some type of travel or long distance travel. Well, that correlates beautifully with Sagittarius energy because Sagittarius wants to go and do new things, and it's a very travel movement energy. So change in travel is definitely on the horizon. Outside of the holidays, though, I do want to highlight there is an interpersonal development of change in travel going on, and it's just movement. Energy is moving. It wants to do something new. It's like, please cultivate new energies. New is on the horizon, especially after just getting out of Scorpio season, which is the death and rebirth, and we just had that whole month of alignment energy in November, right? So we've shed so many old layers with that Scorpion energy. The Scorpion sheds its skin, right? It sheds that layer. And so now we went through this huge death, but then it's the rebirth. So now what? Now what? Now we get to cultivate new energies, and there's this new awareness and understanding ourselves deeper. And that's probably interesting enough, right? We didn't have those videos last month. And so understanding yourself deeper, figuring things out on our own could be a key theme that's going on in your life or something that needs to be activated. But yeah, change is on the horizon on Externally, sure, new horizons, you're going to go visit your family and maybe in another state or another country, and so new sights you're seeing with your eyes because it's not your normal daily visuals, but also internally as well, as it's processing a lot of cultivating these new energies, and so there's new things being formed even on the cellular level. So personal development coming up, all this change in movement. So that's the first key theme. The second theme we want to talk about is matters of the heart becoming more and more important to you than ever before at this time. So what I mean by that is what does your heart want to need? Like really leaning into the portal of your heart. I always talk about the portal of your heart leads you to the portal of your soul, or just leads you to your soul. There's not really a portal to your soul, but it's the portal that gets you to the soul. You may be really reflecting back on past experiences and be like, man, that friendship, that connection meant the world to me. How did we lose touch? I want to reach back out to an old friend. You may be realizing, oh my God, this job is not serving me and this is what I really want to do, and I need to alter, make some shifts and have a career that's in alignment. You may be realizing family is all that there is and it's so important. Why am I not spending as much time with my family? Whatever's going on with the heart, and it doesn't have to be this huge thing, but matters of the heart, it's like these aha, these clicks that I finally get it. Like, this is so important. Like, whatever is important to you, and the emotional, like that heart is very emotional. It's like, wow, I've never realized how important this is. Or maybe you've always valued it and it's been some importance, but now it's like, yo, this is like the top priority. Like, if you think about your core values, like let's say, just look at your top 10. Maybe your 7 became your number 3. Like, if you're listing them in order of most importance, number 1 to your least importance, so something that could have been a 7 just jumped to 3. Maybe your number 5 just jumped to 1 or 2. Like, things that have been important to you are now becoming like nothing else matters before this. Like, how could I put work before family, right? Maybe you have toxic relationships and you're realizing this, I've been prioritizing this and I really need to shift my focus on more healthier relationships, or I need to shift my focus on work, or maybe it is a healthy distraction for you, you know, but wherever that relates to you, matters of the heart are now like moving up on that priority list. Like, oh, you ain't 7, you're 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, like, and then oh, 1, nothing else matters. So that's very much highlighted at this time. And as we talk about that heart energy, that leads into the third theme of, I always talk about what, I'm the chakra coach, so what chakra is going to be affected the most during this time, and it is the heart chakra. But why is it the heart chakra? Because what's going on here is, yes, we just talked about matters of the heart, so the heart chakra is going to be extra sensitive. See, Sagittarius is a fire sign, but there is a lot of emotions running rampant. It's almost like the outpour, the extra energy left over from Scorpio that's still like crying itself, pouring itself out. So emotions are still settling because there was huge upheaval and change and a lot of death and rebirth. So there is some of that, but like, don't sweat the small stuff. Like, that's very much like, I'm hearing that right now. I don't know if that's just one message for somebody's guide or just collectively, but like, definitely don't sweat the small stuff, because the heart chakra needs some attention, leaning into more compassionate energies with self and others. But what I really want to highlight, like why the heart chakra is the one that we're going to pay attention to at this time, because think about it, the heart chakra is in the middle. When we talk about the 7 main chakras, the heart chakra governs the upper 3 and the heart chakra governs the lower 3. So it's almost, we're having this powerful change going on in the ascension energy, in the collective, like there's so much things that are changing. So if we're going through these rapid changes and purges and acceleration and quantum jump and everything, it's almost like all encompassing of all of the chakras. So it's not that like all of the chakras need to be highlighted at this time, but what it feels like, if we're balancing this heart chakra during this next, I don't know, several weeks, we're highlighting, especially during the Scorpio season and what's going on around this new moon. But it feels like if we get this energy center stabilized, it's going to help balance these upper 3 and balance the lower 3. So it feels all encompassing for a whole chakra alignment. So instead of going in like, let me balance my root and my sacral, my solar plexus, and like keep going up, it's like you just work on the heart, and the heart will take care of those lower 3 and the heart will take care of those upper 3. So it's an all encompassing energy. The heart is going to be the master control box of all the chakras right now, at least what I'm getting with all these ascension energies going on at this time. So I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks-ish. Might even go to like, that's a moon cycle though. Like the new moon, 2 weeks, you have full moon. And then 2 weeks later, when we have that full 4 weeks, it's a dark moon that ends the cycle, right? That's normal. But this, I mean, this might even be stretched out past that, going into like 4 to 6 weeks, right? So, and it's going to be a little bit different for each of you depending on where you're at on your soul's journey. Some of you, it could be a day. Some of you, it could be a week. Some of you, it might take those 6 weeks. So take that part very fluid, and so you can take it as it resonates, because your journey is going to be different than mine and everybody else's. So I can only give what I'm getting, and when I'm getting several numbers like that, there's going to be different accelerated growths for everybody, okay? So the fourth key theme we're going to talk about is instability may be prevalent at this time, but that is okay. The only consistent energy in this universe is change. Like, energy is always changing. Even if you're somebody who's very much like, I ate the same breakfast and the same lunch and I eat the same dinners and I have the same job and I live in the same house I grew up in, like, even if you're somebody like a creature of habit, like, you are shifting energies. We're shifting different realities like every 7 seconds. Like, energy is always moving. So even if you're somebody who's like, nope, like old dog, no new tricks, like here I am in my ways, your energy is still changing. Like, it's always moving. So it isn't something to fear. But back to, I totally digressed, or I forgot where I was going with this. Instability may be prevalent. So, oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Instability may be prevalent because the only thing consistent is the change. And so allow it to be instability and unstable at this time. Just don't react to it, because that's the thing. And here, I'll give you a really good example to kind of explain what's going on. Like, anger is an emotion all of us humans will feel. And if somebody says they're not angry, it's just like, come on, you cannot escape anger. It's how you deal with it, right? There are situations that are going to aggravate you and frustrate you and irritate you. But your response to that anger is, am I going to punch somebody in the face, punch a hole in the wall? Am I going to walk away? Am I going to take a deep breath? Am I going to not give my power away? You still had something that made you angry, and maybe instead of like raging anger and irritated, you got frustrated, but you walk away and you're like, no, it's not worth it. I'm not going to lose my power over this. Like, I know I'm worthy. So what I mean by that, using that example, when instability may be prevalent, like, don't let that instability activate your reactive mind. You have a reactive mind. There's emotional reactions going on in the reactive mind right now. And so in that moment when someone's push your buttons and triggering you, right? You have that, oh, I'm just like emotionally either crying or getting angry, or like, it could be so many different things. Because there is this, oh, and we'll get into this in a second, but I was getting some more information there, like especially with Chiron, there's a lot of emotional wounds coming up, but we're going to talk about that in a moment. But so what I'm saying is, like, with this instability, like, don't let, because that reactive mind wants to get triggered. It wants to get activated, and it wants you to react. And it doesn't always have to be out of anger, but emotional reactions are coming in really strong. So while things are unstable right now, just breathe through it, walk away. Don't get responsive in this negative emotional state. Now, I don't want you to completely like shut off your emotions and numb and spiritual bypass. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But finding that healthy coping mechanism to walk away, take some deep breaths, like, just take that pause. Because what happens is that we're here and we want to go here, and the energies are going to have to shift, right? This energy is going to be different than this. This is an old reality. This is a new reality. So while we're figuring out how to merge these energies together, there's a little bit of instability, trying everything, shaking until it kind of comes together and it's solid. I don't know, that's the best way I can kind of explain what's going on. So, because there's all this change, and it's like allowing the new energies to come in to form something, right? And so just, it's not anything bad. It's just trying to stabilize this new reality. Because we've shifted so much, like I said, with that Scorpio energy. And so now with all the change that's happening, it's just trying to find solid ground. It's trying to find its new base. It's trying to find its new 0 point. It's trying to find its new foundation, right? And so it's a little unstable until it gets rocky. So just breathe through it, and don't let that emotional reaction come about in the reactive mind, because with that instability, it's it's going to actually form a solid foundation in the end. So allow it to be what it is today, because it's not going to be that way forever. It's not going to be that way tomorrow. It's trying to build something solid. Okay. I mean, what's solid in this universe anyways? Like, nothing is actually solid. Like, this table that's right in front of me, like, it's just vibrating so fast it appears solid. So it's instability shaking, right? Oh, but it's actually then in this 3D world looks very solid and secure. I don't know. I was getting that kind of imagery in my head, so I felt like I had to highlight that. But anyways, let's jump on to the fifth theme. And the fifth theme is, this is a time to let go and forgive. Like, this is the final goodbye, let go, move on, move on, move on. Because here's what's happening. We're still in the fall equinox until December 20th. And we're going to get into the winter solstice here on key point 7. But let's talk about what this means. So the fall, like, think about it. Look at the trees outside. Like, the leaves are literally falling. It's purging, it's releasing, it's letting go. And so this is that final goodbye, like, what's no longer serving you. Use the fall season to let go. But there is this forgiveness energy of letting it all go to free yourself. Like, forgiveness is always for self. It's never about anybody else. It's always about you. It doesn't matter about that other person. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's like, you feel lighter, you feel better. You're like, wow, if I would have known this would have done this, I could have done this forever ago. We hold on to these angers and grudges and all the stuff. And it's like, forgiveness sets you free. Forgive somebody for you because you're worth it, right? So as we're wrapping up the last few weeks of the of the fall equinox, let go, let go, let it all go, let it go. The trees are letting it all go. They are doing their final purge, right? And so let it go, but maybe let it go with forgiveness. So whether it's forgiveness of self or forgiveness of others, that is a key theme that was showing up at this time. And now, the sixth key theme here. Let me get some of my cacao for this one, because this is a huge one we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about all of the planets and all of the things and all of the retrogrades and everything that's been happening since the last energy update. So I already knew this was going to be a long video because we had so much to talk about. All right, let's get caught up first. What already happened that we missed? Because as you guys know, I always talk about when a planet starts retrograde, when it ends, and I've been off filming for what, like maybe 6 weeks-ish. And so we've already had some planets end their retrograde, and so let's talk about those so we can understand that they're no longer in retrograde. Pluto entered retrograde in October. I think I was highlighting this a little bit. I know I was talking about it a lot. I don't know if it was on my live or my energy update videos. I apologize, but I do want to bring that in as it ended retrograde. Pluto was death, sex, and transformation, right? Very similar to Scorpio energy. That ended in October. It had been retrograde, what, for like 4 or 5 months. In the beginning of April, I think it went retrograde. Yeah, or I'm sorry, May it went retrograde. So Pluto is done, no longer retrograde. And then Saturn also went back direct in November. So, and some of you may already know this, but if you're not up to date with astrology, just key things to talk about, because at one point, what was it, like August or something around then, we had like 7 planets retrograde. So there was like so much going on. So Saturn went back. Saturn is a lot of discipline, structure, karma, stuff like that. So Saturn is no longer retrograde. Now we have, sorry, just looking at my notes here, I had to write everything down. We have 2 planets that are about to end retrograde at the end of the month. And I might talk about this a little bit later in a video. I haven't decided. I know I'm going to do another video, but it might be more focused on the winter solstice. So Chiron, let's just get it out just in case. Chiron is ending retrograde at the end of the month. I believe it's the 26th. And Jupiter on the 30th is ending retrograde. Again, these have been retrograde for some time. Chiron is the wounded healer. So as we were talking earlier about all of these emotions being prevalent, we all have these core wounds. And to figure out what your core wound is, like one of them, because you'll probably have more than one, but if you look at your Chiron placement on your chart, it can help you uncover what your core wound may be related with the astrological energy. So that has been going on, I believe, since like July-ish. And so all of this is about to wrap up. as Chiron gets out of retrograde. And so maybe if you don't know your Chiron placement, look that up. But all of that emotional upheaval and all of that emotional change, all of that emotional reactions, and everything's a little bit emotional right now. Not because of Sagittarius, but because of Chiron is like, hey, this is your last chance to work on the wound. Like, here I am, your wounded healer. Like, deal with me. Like, Chiron is the wounded healer, something that'll be with you with your whole lifetime. So even though that's not necessarily on the horizon as we're in the beginning of the month today, well-ish, we're towards the beginning of the month, it's something to be on the lookout for, because for me, when I feel retrogrades are like right in the beginning, the first few weeks, and right at the end are like the most intense. So the next few weeks, let's be aware that Chiron is also about to go direct. And then at the end of the month, we also have Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and growth. So not that it's been blocking all of that going forward, but there will be a lot more stable ground to grow on. It's almost like when it goes direct, what I'm picking up on is we're going to be able to plant a bunch of new seeds to go forward for lasting change. But I feel like this retrograde with Jupiter, what actually happened was so important for what's going to happen out in the next few months. So retrogrades are so interesting when they go retrograde, because some people always think it's the shadow and the opposite meaning of the planet, and it can mean that. But if you also look at what other planets are retrograde, what's going on in the collective, like what's going on with each moon, like there's so many different aspects to look at there. And so Jupiter had a very helping hand when it started going retrograde, and then it kind of like fizzled out, and then we had to learn some lessons, and then it kind of, here's how I kind of saw this last Jupiter retrograde, working in our favor, and then it kind of up and down, and it was like even killing nothing. It's like, Jupiter, where'd you go? Why are you not helping me grow anymore? Like, I'm ready for expansion. So like right now, there's this energy of Jupiter's like, hold on, we're planting some seeds. Like, hold on, we're almost out of this retrograde, and then we're gonna like catapult you forward with a bunch of new growth. Okay. In that abundance, expansion, could be business, it could be so many different things for each of you. But again, Jupiter will be ending its retrograde at the end of the month, so that's something to also be on the aware of. Neptune actually today is the well, December 6th. I don't know when you're watching this video, so I shouldn't say that. December 6th is the day that Neptune ends retrograde. So Neptune is the planet of ethereal and illusions. Its shadow can be a little bit delusion and not seeing things clearly. It's a very, like Pisces are related to it, very dreamy astral planet. And so if there's been any fog going on about not seeing things clearly, you know, intuition is about to spark really high in the next couple weeks. It might take about 2 to 3 weeks to kind of stabilize that, but Neptune will be back direct on the 6th, so that's beautiful. And the planet I was waiting to say last is everybody's favorite planet. I'm saying that facetiously, Mercury, because Mercury always goes retrograde several times a year, right? So Mercury retrograde is happening one day after this new moon. The new moon is December 12th, and the day after we have Mercury retrograde. But guess what? There's always a pre-shadow and a post-shadow with every retrograde. So some of you might already be feeling this retrograde. So if you're already like, Mercury's already wreaking havoc in my life, well, it's just the pre-shadow that happens about 2 to 3 weeks before. And good news, guess what? There's a post-shadow 2 to 4 weeks after Mercury. Okay, I'm being a little facetious in this, but hey, here's the reason. Hey, listen, this doesn't have to define you, because Mercury retrograde happens 3 to 4 times a year. Okay, about 3 weeks. So if you add, and I've said this before, and I'll keep saying this again, because people are like, oh my God, Mercury retrograde, like I can't travel, I can't move in a new home, I can't upgrade my phone, like I can't do all of these things. Like, let's look at this realistically. 3 weeks, 3 to 4 times a year, you had a 2-week post-shadow, a 2-week pre-shadow, you're at like 6 months. So 6 months out of the year, you just cannot do all of these things. Like, it's fine. And just read the fine print. Just plan accordingly. Like, it's too much to say, I just cannot do all the things around communication and travel and electronics and all of, like, yes, Mercury does affect us. Like, this is something to be cautiously aware of, but also don't let it rule your life. So yes, I was being a little funny with the energies, being like, because a lot of people are like, doom and gloom, Mercury retrograde. And I'm like, you can't stop it. This is something that's out of our control. It's always going to happen. Like, it's always going to happen. So just allow it to happen. So again, just go over things extra carefully, double check stuff, you should be fine, okay? Mercury retrograde, like I said, it starts the 13th, it goes all the way till January 1st on the 1/1 portal. So it will be a few weeks there, and then we have the post shadow afterwards for, I don't know, like 2 weeks-ish. Other thing I wanted to highlight here, so we've talked about all of these planets ending retrograde, about to end retrograde, which one is starting. But there's one planet we haven't talked about that's still in this mix, and that's Uranus. So Uranus will still be retrograde until January 27th. So even at the end of the month, when all of these planets go back direct, like Mercury will be the last one, because we'll have Chiron, then Jupiter, then Mercury. And it's like, oh, all of the planets are back direct. Nope, we forgot about Uranus. And Uranus is some rebellion and also some change energy as well. So that will stay with us retrograde till the 27th. And then we'll start a new calendar year according to calendar year, right? And then we'll talk about the retrogrades in 2024. So that point was long. I knew at the 6th point we had a lot to talk about, because there was catching up on what we missed over the 6 weeks and what's happening the rest of the month. And then, yeah, any other astrological things, I think we got it all in there. So the 7th key theme, the final theme we're going to talk about, number 7, is, well, we talk about energy portals, right? Well, I always talk about these portals that happen. So a couple that already happened. I did some reels on them on like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. I don't know if you guys saw. There was the first portal that started. You know what? Listen, I'm going to tell you my story of portals here for a second before we get into this, because I didn't even realize this was a portal. Like, excuse me, to me, numbers are like everything, and I totally align with them. I started with the big portals like 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12. And then I started working with the minor portals like 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, like stuff like that. And then I started working in with more portals like 121 and 212 and stuff like that. And I was working with all these minor portals. And then I hadn't worked with this portal, because in December, for the last couple of years, the only portals I had worked with is the 1212 and the 1221, and which we'll talk about those in a second. But I woke up on the 1st, and I was, okay, actually, let's go back a little bit. The day before, I was like, okay, so I feel energies before they happen. I was like smacked in the face with energy, and it felt like there was an eclipse, there's a full moon, a new moon, a huge portal. And I was like, we just had a full moon. I'm like, I'm over those effects. I was like, what's going on? And I was like, there's got to be a portal. I'm like, there's not. I'm like, we still got like 2 weeks before a portal or a moon. And this was going on for like 2 days. And then all of a sudden I woke up on December 1st and realized it was a freaking portal day. Think about it. December 1st is 1, 2, 1. Numbers on the outside 1, number on the inside 2. That is a portal. Normally these minor portals don't hit me as hard, and it was so intense. And then I had a session with one of my coaching clients, and they were picking up on the same energies too. And I hadn't even ever talked about 12-1 being a portal. So that was a big portal. And then if you even think about it, even the 3rd, 1, 2, 3, December 3rd was a portal as well. And then what other portals do we have this month? We have the 12-12. 12-12, repeating numbers. There is a portal there. It's interesting. The 12-12 portal actually aligns on the new moon. How beautiful is that? Like, that doesn't always happen. So there's a moon portal, and there's a numerology portal, an energy portal, whatever you want to call it, on 12-12, okay? 1's a new beginning, 2's bringing balance, so a lot of new energy that to create with the new moon, with Sagittarius being change and travel, align with that energy as well. So that's what's going on with that portal. And then the other portal we have this month is the 1-2-2-1, okay? Numbers on the outside the same, numbers on the inside the same. 1-2-2-1. So it's interesting, again, this aligns on the winter solstice. So, which it usually always does, but 1-2-2-1 is the winter solstice, but it's also an energy portal. You can actually go in on December 21st and only celebrate the winter solstice. Well, some may celebrate Yule. It's just whatever resonates with you. I do the seasons. So some may be like, okay, winter solstice, right? But you can also look at it from the aspect of 1-2-2-1. To me, I work with both the energies, because why not call in as much energy as possible? I'll call in the winter solstice. I'll call in the 1-2-2-1. So I'm working with the 1s and the 2s. Again, 1's on the outside, are the new, and the 2s on the inside are balanced. But I also want to talk about what the winter solstice is, and I'm gonna I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to make another video, and what I might do is I might just do messages for I haven't decided yet. I don't know, because I was like, I wanted to make a whole video on winter solstice, and so I was like, should I just highlight what it is? I think that's what I'll do. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of do a short highlight of it, and I think I'll make a longer video, and maybe with some tarot messages for the winter solstice, but we'll see. But the winter solstice, so I believe the first year starts at not January 1st, but the spring equinox. I've talked about it in all my energy updates when we talk about the equinox and the solstice. If you haven't checked those out, I would definitely go into my energy update playlist and go check that out. I talk about the meanings of them. But so the spring equinox to me is the first day of the year, the seasonal year, the natural year. And so the winter solstice actually is a time of stillness. It's a time of silence. It's a time of integration. It's a time, think about it, it's cold. The majority of the world in the winter, it's cold. They're hibernating. Even if you live somewhere more like here's a really good example, right? So in America, we have like the northern states and the southern states. And I just moved from a northern state to the southern state. And yes, it is warmer here, but it is still chilly. So even though like in where I used to live, the winter was snowing and freezing degree temperatures, so I'd stay inside and I wouldn't want to go out and I'd hibernate, right? Here it's still chillier and colder that people may not be outside as much because it's still colder. So there's colder temperatures, right? So winter you hibernate, you don't want to go out, you can look outside, things are frozen, and not everywhere, but you know, even just a couple hours from here in the state, it still snows and things get frozen here. So, and it just, that can be an all around energy. I'm in the desert, so it's like, you know, it doesn't really snow in the desert, but it will in other spots of the state. But what I'm saying is the winter is a time of stillness. Things are frozen, things are solid, things are like, you're hibernating, you're going within. Why? Because you're learning the whole lessons of the whole year, is integrating them all. So it's a time to reflect, it's time to meditate, it's time to journal, it's time to like go within and go, okay, let me learn all of these lessons so I don't have to repeat them in the next year, right? So it's that type of energy with the winter solstice. So again, when I do my manifestations and I set my intentions, because again, I'll work with the winter solstice energy till the spring equinox. So we have all the way to like March 21st-ish, 22nd, 23rd, somewhere around there, that the winter solstice will still be with us. It's not just one day. It is one day, but you're in that solstice energy until the next equinox, spring equinox. So we're in this for about 3 months. So I set my intentions for about 3 months going forward, and I'll still work with that energy. So it's like 3 months of integrating silence, all of that reflection. So that's what the winter solstice is. And if you guys want me to make a whole video on the winter solstice and pull some cards about what you need to know, what you need to work on over the next 3 months, let me know in the comments. It's what I was thinking about doing. I'm going to try my hardest to get out another video before the full moon. And that's the one that was speaking to me. I still have some unpacking and things to do, so no promises, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it. So let me know in the comments if I get enough people that say, hey, they want a video more on winter solstice in detail and what herbs to work with and crystals and what to manifest and what to let go and all of that good stuff, with maybe an intuitive tarot reading as well, or pick a card messages. Let me know what you guys want, and I can then deliver based on what it is you guys are looking for. So I'd love your guys' feedback with that. And now we already at 33 minutes in the video, so let's jump into the pick a card moon message, because this is a really long energy update. So what we're going to do is I actually have 3 decks out. So I'm going to have you guys pick a deck. Whatever deck you are most called to is going to be your moon message over this new moon cycle. We talked about a lot of stuff happening all month long. Some of this may be relevant for you for the whole month of December, because we talked about retrogrades that haven't happened yet, things that are happening towards the end of the month. But again, a new moon cycle is 2 to 4 weeks, so that would even push us into January anyways. So the next 2 to 4 weeks will hold these messages for you. So maybe you heard 1 through 3 and you have a number that you want to pick. So whether it is a number that you hear, 1, 2, or 3, or a deck that looks good to you, or the imageries or whatever's going on, this is going to be your strongest message. So I will show you your options. This is deck 1. Take a moment, decide if that one is calling you. This is deck 2. Take a moment, decide if this one is calling you. And this is deck 3. And take a moment and decide if this one's calling you. If you need a moment to pause the video, you can. I will put timestamps in the description of the video. Once you've decided on what number or what deck is calling you the strongest, you can jump straight ahead to your reading. But let's jump into deck 1. Here is your moon message for the next 2 to 4 weeks while we are in Sagittarius season. And so many things are happening. So we talked about, there it is, all month long. So we have more new moon energy. It says, and it's a new moon in Cancer, the card says, but again, Cancer is ruled by emotions, as we talked about, all that emotional upheaval, all the Chiron energy, all the emotions pouring over from the last Scorpio energy we just got out of. And it says you and your loved ones are safe, so there's nothing to worry about here. So any worries, fears, doubts, insecurities, whatever's going on, maybe that's the instability energy. You're thinking about someone, you're worried about them. One is my son, my daughter, my mother, my father, whoever it is, my partner. Are they safe? Are they okay? Whatever's going on there, one, hand those fears and those worries over to your angels, your guides. Ask them to transmute them, bring you more peace and trust and reassurance. Let go of all that. Here's your sign from Spirit. They are safe, okay? Beautiful. So time to release all that. As we said, a time to let go. It's a beautiful time to let go of these fears of thinking that somebody else may not be safe. Release that, because then you're just putting that unsafe energy into your conscious being, right? Into your vibration. So release that for your own sake. You've got the confirmation they are safe. Work with your angels and guides to help you through that, okay? Now we will go on to deck number 2, and that came right out. I barely shuffled there. If you chose deck 2, here is your moon message for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Oh, who is holding on to resistance? Let it go. We literally just talked about let it go, let it go, let it go. What this resistance is doing here, it's actually bringing in new growth. It's bringing in new life, okay? Sometimes resistance will create energy blockages and will block new from coming in. As I'm reading this here, we're actually building up more resistance. We're building up more blockages. This is new growth, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Let go of that resistance so your whole energetic field is not filled with it. Right now, this is still manageable, because all you'd have to do is open your hand and let it go. It's that simple. It's that simple. All this resistance you're holding on to, open your hand and let it go. Let it go. I've talked about this before on the channel. This is a really good example how to explain what's happening. There's a quantum field out here, and it is vibrating all over the place, okay? Imagine it's vibrating here everywhere. It needs to be fluid like water. But if we're holding on to the quantum field with our expectations of what we want, when we want it, all those desires, and it has to be this way, when we hold on to it from the ego, imagine you're gripping onto it like you're holding a steering wheel. It's blocking it. It can't flow. Remember, it needs to be fluid like water. So when we're holding on to it, look at all this resistance we're creating, what we're growing, what we're building into us. So we let it go to let it flow. Literally let that resistance go, and you get in that flow state. The energy starts moving again. You can say goodbye to the growth. You just have to let go of that resistance. Again, we talked about in card 1, call upon your angels and guides to help you. If you're like, I have no idea how to let go of this resistance, but I want to. Call on your angels, call on your guides, your ascended masters, whoever you work with. Ask them for help to help you let it go. Because once you let it go, it lets it flow. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. It's literally can be that simple. Okay, guys? That is the second message. And let's jump into if you chose deck 3. If you chose deck 3, here is your moon message for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Let's see what we got here. Okay, and it says, breathe through the tension, full moon and Scorpio energy. Yes, look at all the water here. But what did we talk about earlier when we talked about instability, right? Breathing through it, not letting that reactive mind come in. So whatever's going on, just take some deep breaths. Like if you can just, even for a moment, close your eyes and take 3 conscious deep breaths deep down in the belly, and then like exhaling out the mouth. When you open your eyes, you're going to feel a subtle shift, maybe a big shift. Actually, some of you may be like, I feel so much lighter and better. Breathe through whatever's going on, any of that angst, any of that anger, any of that sadness about any of that stuff we were talking about earlier, what's going on. This card is calling you that it literally can take 5 seconds to just take one breath and you can feel better. Even better if you could do 2 or 3. Maybe you do a 5-minute breathing exercise. It doesn't have to be, I don't have 5 minutes. What do you mean? I'm at work and there's people yelling everywhere. Close your eyes, give you 5 seconds. Just take one deep inhale and one exhale. All right? You can give yourself 15 seconds to go take 3 deep breaths. Give yourself 30 seconds, depending how long your inhale and exhale is. It may not be 5 seconds, maybe 10, maybe longer. It doesn't matter. Not that any are better or worse. Like, sure, long, deep inhales are great, but like, don't judge yourself. If you're like, like just, okay, that's shallow breathing from the chest. Let me work on that. Let me breathe deep down in the belly. You can see like I get a smile. Like as soon as I'm exhaling, there's a shift there. Even my voice changed. It completely just got me more calm, got me more relaxed. The exhale you do want, just even if it's a second longer, right? That's beneficial. So we always breathe in through the nose. And I just melt, right? Each one just got me more and more into this puddle, this beautiful energy. Like even my body is more relaxed because it's in this natural flow state. It's literally like just flowing. You see that, right? Obviously I'm spinning because my body is becoming fluid. Energy, remember, let it go, let it flow. Energy is fluid, it wants to flow. The first one kind of got me more calm and settled, and then the second one, you know, you see the spine where I was even more calm and settled, and the third one, it's like my central nervous system just completely relaxed, right? So just breathe through whatever tension you have going on. Take some deep breaths. It can be that simple. You can shift that quickly, okay? All right, guys, this is the beautiful place to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you got anything out of this video, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. This way I know you got something that resonated. If you guys haven't yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's a bell too. You want to hit the bell and turn on all notifications. I don't want you guys to miss out on any upcoming messages. That next message just might be the message that you need to hear today. All right, my loves, thanks so much for watching. Till next time, be blessed.